Special edition of PFTPM, our series of conversations with general managers following the 2022 draft. The guy that we talk to pretty much every year, at least twice a year. For some reason, he doesn't say no. He's Eagles GM, Super Bowl winner, Howie Roseman. Howie, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Always enjoy.
It's great to talk to you. I know you're busy. I know it never stops. Give us an idea of what your day-to-day life is like now that we're a week and a half removed from the draft.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to another GM yesterday afternoon, and they said, everyone thinks like the draft ends, and it's like I'm good, but you're really just transitioning to two things. You're transitioning to your staff, and I guess it's a good thing. It's something I'm proud of. We've lost 9 people to promotions in the last 3 years. But what it means is like we got to really kind of transition, just like on the field. We got to hire a bunch of staff and hire the right people who fit us and that are talented. And there's a lot of talented people in the NFL. So looking forward to that opportunity. And then continuing to look at your roster and looking at where you kind of have depth and where you have needs and where you have surplus and having a rookie camp. So I think all this is kind of a run until we take a little break here, a little step back in the middle of June. And then we come back and refreshed and ready to roll.
Do you have 90 on the roster now, or you have a couple spots you're holding back?
We have a couple of spots we're holding back. We felt like it always gives us that flexibility instead of grabbing someone that you're unsure of and then having to cut that guy. I think for us, having that flexibility before training camp allows us to kind of look at some opportunities.
So I'll phrase the next question the way that a reader suggested it. What number is James Bradberry going to wear for the Eagles?
Well, I appreciate that you put it on a reader, because I know now that any question that you may ask that may be difficult, you will now have an excuse for. That's great to know. But, obviously, like our job is to look at any opportunity to improve the team. And we'll always do that. And we'll kind of have discussions on that. It's funny because I almost feel like until we kind of made the AJ trade, it was kind of like maybe there was inaction from the Eagles. And when I look back at the most important things we've done this offseason, it really starts with re-signing our own players because of the message that sends to your locker room. And so we had Jordan Mailata, who was a free agent, Avonte Maddox, who was a free agent, Dallas Goedert, who was a free agent, Josh Sweat, who was a free agent. And we kind of did those deals during the season. And that was really our first big step towards putting this team together for 2022 and beyond.
What's the message you send or intend to send to the other players in the locker room when you do that? I think I know what it is. I just want to hear you say it.
Well, I think, but when you bring free agents in and you pay free agents a lot of money or you trade for guys and pay them a lot of money and obviously really excited about AJ and Hassan Reddick, 2 guys that we brought in from the outside. But I think when you do that and you don't take care of your own locker room, you're basically telling your guys, like, maybe you're not good enough. Maybe the guys that you drafted and you've developed and have been blood, sweat, and tears in Eagles uniforms, they're not good enough. And then you risk those guys becoming independent contractors, right? Because when you get to free agency, by definition, you're probably going to the highest bidder or close to the highest bidder. And so when you do that to your team and say, hey, we're going to be aggressive in trying to improve our team, but our first priority is always going to be take care of our own. The guys we've drafted, developed, that we know them day to day, the ins and outs of their personalities. And so I think what it says to our younger guys is you do the right thing, you play well, and we're going to try to take care of it.
Why do you think that some teams in today's NFL are more willing to facilitate, accommodate players who just don't want to be on the team anymore? It seems like we've come a long way from, and I apologize, I don't know whether or not you were with the Eagles back during the Terrell Owens stuff, but I have a feeling you were.
That's going to be a big chapter in my book.
Good. But part
nobody's
of
going to buy it, by the way, except maybe my family. But
what's that?
Nobody's going to buy that book, but I'll write it, for maybe generations of my family.
Nobody buys any books. I'm learning that the hard way as I try to get people to buy Playmakers. People don't buy books. But regardless, the attitude then was, and the fans got behind it, and it was a rarity that a team would let a player who didn't want to be there go. You're under contract. You sign a contract. You're under your contract. Why do you think we've seen a shift in the past generation to where there are teams that are willing to say, hey, we got a guy who's not happy, he doesn't want to be here. Instead of holding him to a contract that he signed, our interests are better served by letting this guy go somewhere else?
Well, the first thing is all those guys are getting value. like they're not going somewhere for a mid-round pick or a late-round pick. Like you're still having to pay the value for those players. And so I think it gets to a point where every team, and we've been in this situation before, has to decide, is the value that I'm going to get from this trade going to improve our team and allow us the flexibility to do other things? Or are we ready kind of to have this protracted standoff with someone and understanding the rights and obligations everyone has with their contract? And I think it's really got to be a case-by-case basis. And I think it's kind of where you are as a football team, in your progression, who else you're paying a lot of money to, what kind of resources and assets that you have going forward. And so, I would hate to speak for everyone else in the league. I think for us, obviously, when we're paying a quarterback a lot of money, it's harder to do these sort of things. When you have a quarterback on a rookie deal, you're able to be a little bit more aggressive in some of these other avenues.
How differently do you think the Terrell Owens situation would have played out if instead of shirtless driveway sit-ups and Drew Rosenhaus next question press conference on the front lawn, he would have had the weapons that today's players have via social media, the ability to tweet, to post videos, to go on a full-on 24-hour day if he chooses offensive? Would that have changed the team's position on the Terrell Owens situation, do you think?
Is your goal to give me PTSD? Is that what you're trying to do here, Mike? Like I'm confused by the line of questioning. Like, it wasn't fun. Now I'm going through it in my mind. The best story about T.O. was, we have this tough 2005 season coming off our Super Bowl year, and Coach Reid says, hey, at the end of the season, everyone take a weekend, get away. We'll gather back up to talk about next year's plans and evaluate the team. And so my wife and I get on a plane and go to Florida. And because I was traveling on the time, I was on the road scouting. We got upgraded, right? So we're sitting in first class. We're going to Florida, and I'm finally like a little bit relaxing. And the pilot gets on and he says, "We're just waiting for one more passenger, and then we'll start taxiing." And of course, who is it? It's T.O. And he kind of looks at my wife and he kind of nods her head, and then he looks at me. And he takes a seat and he jacks it in my lap for 2.5 hours. So that was a really good ending to that part of the story.
Oh, that's good. That's well done. But really, the NFL has changed. And you're right, value is a big part of it. And that's what we saw happen with your decision to trade for A.J. Brown. And I'm fascinated by what's going on with the receivers in the NFL, because you have great ones coming in every year via the draft. Mm-hmm. But you also have great ones available via trade, because teams are deciding, instead of giving a guy a third contract like a Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams, or even a second contract like A.J. Brown, mm-hmm. they're going to trade them. What brought you down on the side of, with A.J. Brown, the Titans have him, the Titans are willing to give him up for value, they don't want to pay him, but you will? What made you decide to give them what they wanted and to give him what he wanted?
Probably three factors, Mike, when I think about why we made the trade. I think one was the player fit, the evaluation of the player. Tremendous player. We did a lot of work on him coming out of Ole Miss. Felt like this guy really made a difference, whether he's playing inside or outside. How he complemented our young receivers. We drafted Devontae, we drafted Jalen Reagor. We have Quez Watkins, we signed Zach Pascal. We have a bunch of other guys here that have contributed to our football team. But he was a different kind of player. And I know another moment that affected me was we had played for a long time against Anquan Bolden, and the difference he made as a player and how physical he was, and the toughness that he played with. He hated to be tackled. And then we had won a championship with Alshon, and what he did on the outside. And so that's kind of a piece that we had different body types. So for us, first, the player fit. Obviously, we felt like we knew the person from doing him coming out and the relationships he had with some guys on our team, including with Jalen Hurts. I think second is just where we were as a team. And I think there's two parts of that. I think the first part is, again, we have a quarterback on a rookie deal. So you're able to maybe be more aggressive in those modes. And I'm sure that was, I don't want to talk for J-Rob, but I'm sure that was part of his thinking. Like, I got a quarterback that I'm paying. I think, and the third part of it is that we had accumulated assets. And, we know this, like the best guys in the draft are going to hit on 60% of their first round picks. And so no matter how strongly you feel about a first round pick, you still don't know how that guy's going to transition. How is he going to transition to a new city? How is he going to transition with money in his pocket? How he's going to translate to new personalities? How he's going to translate living on his own for the first time? And I'm not saying that's a reason to be risk averse and not take draft picks, but because we had accumulated some of these draft picks and because of those other reasons, we felt like this made sense for us right now at this time.
How much of the decision to make the trade for A.J. Brown is a reflection on the decision 2 years ago to use a first-round pick on Jalen Reagor? Is there a dotted line, a straight line, any line between your experience with Reagor and the decision to go get A.J. Brown?
No, because of how special a player AJ is. I think, we've seen this, like the book is yet to be written on Jalen Reagor. We had, in my first draft as GM, we drafted Brandon Graham over a couple of guys. And for a long time, that was one of the things, in Philly, a lot of things follow you. That was following me. And obviously Brandon Graham now is one of the special players in the history of our franchise. And so, there are going to be bumps in the road, adversity that all of us face in our careers. It's how you react to it. It's how you move forward. Obviously, the other guys had a tremendous start to his career and a heck of a player. But I think if you kind of try to make up and try to do makeup stuff, because of things that you're doing, those things don't work out. You got to kind of keep every decision based on the whole picture of your team and the shelf life where your team is. And all of kind of those factors rather than, looking at one specific pick. I'm not just talking about Jalen, but anything we did.
When do you expect the book to be written? When do we have a finished product where we can make the assessment on which side of the 60% Jalen Reagor falls on, positive or negative, based upon the decision to invest that first round pick in it?
Yeah, I think when you see how hard he's working right now and the determination he has, and obviously he's got athletic tools in his body that made him a first-round pick and made him a 5-star recruit. I think for us, like, he's still 23 years old. So I don't know the right answer to that for any player, because I think guys have different timelines when they get that, and experience is a huge factor in getting better. I feel like I still had a ways to go. Like I can continue to get better and continue to learn. And I'm starting my 12th year as a GM in Philly. So, as long as you have that kind of mindset where you're going to work as hard as you possibly can and try to improve yourself, I think that window remains open.
What should Eagles fans expect from the offense with A.J. Brown? Because it was evolving into a certain type of offense last year, more running the ball, taking advantage of the talents that you had. With A.J. Brown there, what's it going to look like?
Well, first, this, you're always hesitant to talk about anything in May because you got so long to go before you first play a game. So I think health is the most important thing for our football team, for every football team, because it determines so many outcomes here. So I think for us, we got great performance staff, great training staff, great medical staff. So keeping those guys in position to play. So when we get that schedule released tomorrow night, we kind of look at it and go, man, if we're full strength, we got a chance to be good. But I think when you look at it again, because of how good we were running the football, we understand that's going to be a challenge for defenses. Defenses are going to come in and say, hey, this offensive line set the tone. They led the league in rushing. So how are you going to counterpunch? It's being able to be multiple and be versatile. And Coach Sirianni does an amazing job of that, of adjusting to the strengths of our personnel. And I think as we go through camp and get a good sense of who we are, I have no doubt that our coaching staff will put them in the best position.
You mentioned the schedule release. What time tomorrow will you see it the first time? And what are the factors you analyze it for when you get a look at the whole thing?
I don't want to kill your content here, but I think analyzing the schedule in May is an exercise in futility. Who's going to be playing? What's the state of your team at that time? It's hard. Now, of course, I do.
But don't you look for, hey, we got 3 straight road games. We got screwed here. We got 3 straight road games.
Exactly. That'll be the first thing I'll go, man, I thought they weren't going to do this to us. Or I'll go, maybe that's a good time to kind of tack on a little school call there, like maybe we go somewhere warm weather in November and December and say, maybe I'll stay out for a couple of days, just coincidentally, when the weather gets bad in Philly, that maybe, there's really good players in the Southeast or the West. But I think that's really, it's just another level of excitement to see, who you're playing, when you're playing them, how that kind of falls, home games, road games, travel. So, I mean, I can't wait.
Have you ever made complaints after getting the schedule 1 year and have it make a difference the next year?
No.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Let me ask this about Jalen Hurts. With A.J. Brown there, and that seemed to be a trade that Jalen Hurts really wanted. What should the expectations be for him entering year 3? Because I think there's just kind of a vague sense among the fans, among the media, as to what the bar is in the organization's mind as to what you're looking for in Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, we're just looking to win, and I think that at the end of the day, that's something that always attracted us to Jalen as a player when we drafted him. Obviously, that's what he's done really his whole life as a football player. He's figured out ways to win games and put his team in a position to really, in college, to win championships. And I think with Jalen, the one overriding theme with him is he will do whatever it takes to be great. He will work as hard as he possibly can. He will connect with as many teammates as he possibly can. If you tell him this will make you better, he will go to the ends of the earth to do that. And he's a talented guy. And so I think for all of us, we have to help. Well, whoever our quarterback is, you always want to feel that way. But I think when you have a young quarterback, and he's still 23 years old, which, sometimes I even forget about. But when you have a young quarterback like that, you have to put them in position to be successful. You can't ask them to do everything. So how do you do that? Obviously, for us, it's going to start on both lines, right? Having a really strong O-line, D-line, and then going from there and making sure that he's got options in the passing game. He's got weapons around him, but we're also complementing him with good players on both sides of the ball.
With all the talk about A.J. Brown, Jordan Davis has gotten short shrift. That's the guy that you ended up taking in the teens. You move up to get him, cut the line in front of the Ravens. I'm sure they're thrilled about that. What drew you to Jordan Davis, and what do you expect from him?
Well, Jordan Davis has got rare, unique physical tools. See, there are not guys like Jordan Davis who come out in the draft every year. And I think when we look at the draft prospects and we think about guys who are unusual, who have unique skill sets, I mean, he's right there. And I think a lot of the questions about him is, why didn't he play so much? Why isn't he playing on third down? And we spent a lot of time talking about it. This is a unique athlete with unique explosive power. But when you really kind of boil it down to it, this guy was the Allen Trophy winner. He was top 10 in the Heisman voting. And Georgia was really beaten up on a lot of teams, in their run to a national championship. And I think when you look at really when they were in closer games, he was playing more. And I think we just, for us, O-line, D-line is such a priority. And it just made a natural fit for our football team.
Well, Howie, congratulations once again. 12 years as a GM. And let me know where you're going on vacation this year and from where, so I can let T.O. know that he can get on the same flight and hopefully sit in front of you and recline the seat into you all over again.
Well, let me know. I like how you have the kitchen utensils, but the book properly placed. Is there like a wine bottle back there too, right there with the wine cooler right there? Like, there's no chance that you designed that backdrop.
Oh, none whatsoever. My wife is the one who says, this is where I think you should go. This is what I think you should do. I used to go down to my barn, but that took too much work. I've squatted in here. The book is there for the media appearances that I do. It's product placement, trying to get people to buy Playmakers anywhere you buy books. I hope you got your copy. I hope you read it on the flight with T.O. in front of you.
I didn't. I'm going to ask Bob Lang why we didn't get it, but thanks for having me, man. I always enjoy talking to you.
Good talking to you, pal. We appreciate you. Take care.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.